Hey guys, welcome back to Reshift. This is Project Jira with another, that's kind of reversed, another marathon, second marathon, number 67th video, and something along those lines. We're doing a very behind the scenes type video for this one. And what we're doing here, and I realized that the gain is a little bit high. There, fix it a little bit better. But what we're doing here is a bit of a follow-up. You can see in my hand is a green panel, Bristol board, basically. And wow, that really affected the chroma key there for a second. But that's what we're talking about here. Basically, the green screen, which is not really a green screen, but an improv using Dollar Store, Dollarama. That's the name of the superstore, Dollarama. Bristol boards to create a sort of makeshift green screen, and all the associated affiliated troubleshooting things that we had to deal with, and some interesting, exciting stuff that we spent some time learning about. Now, on that particular topic, I should mention, I can see the visuals right now are not all that great. It's frankly, I'm showing up kind of purpley. I have turned off the white balance auto adjust on the camera, so do bear with me if you're watching this on video as opposed to, say, listening on as a podcast on Spotify or TuneIn or whatever. So you will notice that the color is a little bit off, but that's only because we're in the process of troubleshooting. So I just want to hold on to these things, partly because the first thing that the algorithm's going to do when I upload is going to capture the first image from the video as a thumbnail. So, but this has real purpose. I'm holding 3 neon, bright, vivid, neon yellow green Bristol boards here that I intend on basically just tossing into the recycling bin. And that's because these are really bright and they don't serve any purpose because they're too reflective. So when it comes to the chroma key, it just brings out too much overlap with other colors that say involve things we wear. So if we're going to blot out the proper color from that's reflecting off this really bright yellow green, we'll end up blocking out a bunch of other colors. In fact, pretty much the entire scene, and I can show you that if I really want to in the filter, which we're going to dive into probably right now. So I'm going to put these away down the side, just know that they're going to be recycled. So that's the physical item that I take care of. Meanwhile, in the backdrop, we can talk about the fact that we have successfully now just put up over here. This is 3 Bristol boards that are actually solid green. You can see the difference when I was holding it. Solid green, the standard, just not bright yellow green mixture, just solid green, working much better now. But it's still, you can see right now I have applied the chroma key. You can see it's kind of grainy behind me, and there's actually an image there which is of like a traditional Chinese scripture. You can see basically that's a privacy graphic, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull it out right now. So that variable graphic right there is it's the asset I have named is called variable graphic. Basically, this thing is adjustable, and if I try to pull it off to the side and put it above the chroma key, you will see here that this is what it looks like. So it's nowhere near as effective as it should be. The chroma key is not functioning very well, even with the bright green, but it is a lot better than the neon green, believe it or not, that we tested a couple videos ago. However, there's a caveat, including, for example, looking at me, I have a huge white balance right now. I know that even if I turn off the white balance, it might actually just make things worse. So there's a huge issue here when it comes to learning how to use this. And I want to cover some of the things that we have learned in separate videos, but in this video, but I think it might be too much content all at once. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the filter right now. I'm going to do some showcasing of some of the troubleshooting we had. So we went to the display scene so you can see what I see. And I'm going to go down here go over to the green screen, the Smolink camera. So that's the camera that had the filter applied. And you can see here, this is the Luma. Not the Luma, the filters are applied. What I should do here, actually, I should go back to the backdrop and showcase how things will change as I increase the saturation on, I have to get the terminology right, increase the saturation on the filter. So let's go over to variable graphic, expand it all the way, right? Just go, make sure it covers the entire screen, right? Now you see me, now you don't. And we're going to go to Smolink camera. What we're going to do is apply the filter, go to filter, and we're just going to increase the saturation, of the chroma key all the way up. And what you'll see now is if we decide to do that, hold on a second, not the chroma key, color correction, saturation way up. You can see that I turn incredibly red, everything goes red, but the backdrop starts to stand out. So that's something I was learning about color theory and stuff like that. And this was thanks to largely gaming careers teaching me about this. So you can see it's just not enough green behind me. And part of that has to do with lighting. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to close this and switch over to the display and do the same thing. So you can see my screen up here on the top left-hand side, right down here. And on the display right now, you can see we're going to go over to the Smolink camera, go to filters, and we're going to, you can see the display, the interface, and we're going to go to color correction, and we're going to increase the saturation. And that's what we did. So you can see the backdrop, of course, everything starts to go black and grays out. But we have the saturation low, it doesn't. Now, of course, there's no way we can function like this because I turn into this red hot demon. So does the entire environment around me. Only the green screen goes black, but the contrast is way too high in terms of color. And I don't know how to correct this, so it's not going to be of much use to me. Anyways, you can reset to defaults, but you can basically see these are the plugins that I've applied: expander, equalizer, compressor, limiter for the audio filters, and the effect filters visually. We applied a LUT, a color correction, and a chroma key. But we'll just set it back to default. Okay. And you can see now things are not as effective anymore. We can color multiply, color add. I don't know what that does. I think it just does exactly what it says on the tin. But yeah, just default. We can do something fun here. Experiment a little bit. Okay. And then we go to saturation. Yeah. So let's go back to default. Leave it like that. And what we're going to do is going to turn off the chroma key because it did not work at all. Okay. So you can see the screen here on display, and we're basically going to go over to the backdrop. So you can see, of course, here's the board that behind me. Not only have I switched the bright green and put it in for recycling, but I have the proper green now. Cost $3, really cheap. But I've also switched the Fudesi stand around so that there isn't a bulge down the middle. And then that helps with, obviously, the gradient, makes it more uniform so that the chroma key at least works as good as it possibly can, even though it's not very functional. And on top of that, we have the boards here layered from this side, overlaying this one, all the way through, instead of the opposite way around, so that the shadows from the creases right here don't show, right? The lighting coming from this angle will usually show the shadows coming in from this end. Because of the other way, it doesn't show. It looks almost uniform. And I can move farther back, and I recognize that one of the many things I learned from the videos on chroma key and green screens is that the further back it is, the more effective it is, but I also need separate lighting for myself as well as for the backdrop. So some stuff that I've been learning on the side. In fact, I'm actually interested enough to actually try it right now. Want to open the filters, apply the chroma key, right? Turn it back on. Wow, very effective actually. It's doing a lot better than I thought. And I don't have like white balance on, but the moment I move it really close, Oh wow, it gets so much worse. Right, so you gotta move further back. Of course, the caveat with moving it further back is, oh, and there's an optimal distance as well. Get the angle right. Angling is pretty important, it seems. Yeah. And moving it further back still has its own drawbacks as well. Okay. But it's certainly interesting to see that it has an effect, a very pronounced effect on how it displays. Okay. So I think that's what I want to showcase physically, and it's actually very functional. I can actually make out very well. It's a lot more vivid now. The back, of course, we have to buy more boards to cover that at the very bottom, which we haven't done. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to turn off the LUT, honestly. You don't really need, turn off the Chroma key. Okay. It is very CPU intensive. That's something else I learned. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch over. So back to the backdrop here. Over to Windows. And I want to show you guys some stuff, right? What we're going to do is switch over to a scene, to a tab on gaming careers. Gaming careers. Hopefully it shows up here. No, it's not showing here. Maybe it's on the other tab. It's all right. Go over to the other tab. And the reason why we're doing this is because we want to showcase, a little bit of what we had learned. Gaming careers. Okay. YouTube gaming careers. No, it's not showing. It's showing all the other tabs, but I can't pull it out. So long story short, then I'm just going to minimize this for a moment. Say that. Basically what we want to do was show you a video from game careers, but I had to actually search it up actively, and it's lost amongst almost 500 different browser tabs. But basically gaming careers, great guy, very professional, very straight to the point. Talked all about green screens. One of the things he mentioned is poor lighting, not having separate sources of lighting for myself, for you, versus, the subject versus the backdrop. Another thing he talked about was also not having the proper, not having a uniform space, not having a rotoscope around. There's also blog articles I wanted to show you and talk guys about. Since we can't do that, right? So it's the browsers, I have 400 browsers, and right now I'm just kind of knocking it off one by one. We can cover something else that's also related to Chroma key and wrap up this video. So it's about 13 minutes now. There are some other things that are Chroma key related, or at least visually related. And one of those things is that we actually were troubleshooting. We said, all right, so we looked for a solution to the Chroma key matter and the green screen matter, because what the goal is, why we're using the green screen and Chroma key, is to basically replace the backdrop. So what we want to do was basically find a way, maybe a different software program that will do it better. And I was thinking, oh, I have all these issues, probably because the camera is poor. Turns out, yeah, the camera's probably not that great, but there's other software programs that can accommodate for the poor hardware. So the camera, the webcam, a piece of hardware is, it's not a bad webcam, but it's certainly not it's not a good one either. So the point is, how about we accommodate for the hardware by using software, applications, programs that can actually accommodate for the fill and adjust for what's in the backdrop by being able to identify the subject. And I was able to find some programs to do that. For example, I went to, and again, I wish I could show you. I could go to, let's go to Windows here. I wish I could show you right here the Windows, but I'd have to pull it out, and there's like 500 browser tabs right now open, and we're going to knock them out one by one. So eventually down the road, one of the future videos will cover it. I don't know when specifically, but we will. The point is, we had these programs installed here, and we were looking for a way to make like a virtual webcam, right? Because that's one of the software applications called. We had a top 10 different, no, 7. It was just 7 different softwares that were being ranked in a blog article. I ran through, 7 different ways, 7 different webcam softwares that you can use to apply visual effects and so on and so forth, and change the lighting artificially and blah-de-da. So one of those things we did is we installed a program. But prior to that, we had all this troubleshooting here. So you can see over here, we have the device manager here, right? Audio inputs and outputs, batteries, turn over to display here so you can actually see it properly. But you can see here, the device manager, right? Classic troubleshooting feature. Going on to Windows, just pulling device manager. Audio inputs, outputs, you can see here, I went to the USB camera, HP True Vision, try to see what I can do to get rid of the white balance. Because there you go, that's one of the things that's mentioned. Poor lighting, not having separate sources of light, not having a uniform, not hiding the shadows. That's why we again overlap the opposite direction. Another reason was just not having a very good piece of hardware. And and yet another reason would be, of course, right here with the white balance, right? So there's like an auto adjustment feature for cameras to correct for the color and the brightness, or what they call exposure. They're all different concepts altogether, and they have different effects. But it was the exposure or the white balance that I had to turn off, and even still, you can see that it still wasn't working that great. Nevertheless, that's one of the things, that's one of the reasons why we had the device manager open. Another reason why device manager is open is because we were troubleshooting a piece of software as well that we had downloaded. So of the 7 different webcam softwares we had looked through on the blog article, we installed actually 2 of them. Or we had 1 installed, and then of the 7, and then another one, the executable file, the exe file, is downloaded. And so that's a webcamoid, and also so down here, webcamoid, and something else too, Cyberlink UCam. So I actually want to close this browser, I close this tab because we have too many of these programs open, too many of these windows open. But looking at it, I think that maybe we're gonna have to reuse this again for the next video. So we can get rid of this. In addition to this one, we can also say that we had something else that was also sort of related to troubleshooting the webcam, as well as being able to apply effects on the backdrop, right? Just like the UCam from Cyberlink, that software that we installed, as well as the other executable webcamoid can also do, apply effects and lighting and adjust the lighting and the white balance and so on and so forth, exposure, so that the green screen will actually pop, or at least we can. The main goal is not really, the green screen is just a means and end. If we can find another way to do it by using, software processing, and hopefully that's not too taxing on the computer, that'd be great either. That'd be great also. So what we ended up doing was we ended up going to Zoom even over here. And on Zoom, we went to see the webcam, okay, to try to troubleshoot and see if we could blur out the background. Is the webcam working? And so on and so forth. But that's kind of starting to venture into a slightly different topic. So what I'm going to do is save that for the next video and just say we'll kind of close it off here. At least I can close off this right here, the device manager, I think. But this is definitely starting to dive into a separate topic. So that's it. I'm going to leave it there. A lot of stuff on green screen and stuff like that. But the next video will basically cover I will actually demo basically what UCam looks like. So instead of using the Chroma key with the green screen behind me, in the next video, what we're going to do is we're going to start testing with, not testing, but showcasing to you what the UCam software looks like. Right, so instead of using the Smolink webcam, which I'm going to turn off right now and just leave that, what we'll end up doing is we'll end up applying the UCam software virtual webcam, and you will see what a major difference it is. Okay, but of course, where we can't actually switch it on this video. I would love to do that, but not only is the time, it's coming up to 20 minutes now, but more importantly, I can't just switch between cameras. You're just not allowed to do that because there will be a studio that's already using this camera. It won't allow me to use the same camera again for the UCam. Alright, so that's it. Thanks for tuning in to another behind the scenes video I wish I could have covered more. I think I just was unprepared. It's also steaming hot right now inside this room, and kind of recovering. Yeah, from a largely very hot day and weird stuff in the household. So that's it. I'll see you in the next one when we will actually try to use the application softwares, and hopefully at that point we can close off a lot of these mundane programs that we want to discuss in more detail. Okay, so let's see y'all then. This is Rishabh signing out. Peace out. And of course, if you're listening to my podcast, there's a video. If you're watching my video, there is a podcast. If you want to listen to my commute, whichever is more convenient for you. Thanks for tuning in.